The 2010s were an important decade for astronomy, NASA, and the private industry. During this past decade, we finally saw Pluto for the first time. The space shuttle launched for the final time from Kennedy Space Center, and the longtime Mars rovers went silent. This is a decade when I became most interested in astronomy, and it's not just the backyard telescope looking at the planets, it's more than that. And it all started when I got to see my first launches from Kennedy Space Center and here in our backyard at Wallops Island Flight Facility. It's really cool. If you haven't seen a launch, you gotta go see one. Now, in the last 10 years, we've seen a lot of different things happen with the space industry, going from a government-funded and a NASA-driven entity to now more of a private sector where it's kind of a hybrid of both. So before we get into that, let's recap on some of the things we've seen in the last 10 years. The last space shuttle launch was on July 8th, 2011, and check out these highlights from the mission launch.
6, 5, all 3 engines up and burning, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff, the final liftoff of Atlantis on the shoulders of the space shuttle. America will continue the dream.
So who would have thought, 7 years later, from the same launch pad, we would be watching this.
2, 1, 0. Ignition.
On February 8th, 2018, SpaceX launched its first Falcon Heavy rocket from Pad 39A in Cape Canaveral, Florida, launching Starman and Elon Musk's original Roadster further away from the sun than Mars.
And that landing burn has started.
Both boosters looking to be on track towards their respective landing zones.
Landing burns have started. Side boosters landing legs are deployed.
Of course, both side boosters landing on live TV and streaming for the first time, and it was an incredible moment to see, which I believe ignited a new era in space in the United States and the rest of the world. The future of space exploration is in the hands of the private industry, whether it takes us to nearby asteroids for mining for precious metals, or it helps us build a colony on Mars. The private industry like SpaceX, Blue Origin, Rocket Lab, and others will take us there. In the past few weeks, Boeing tested an unmanned rocket for sending American astronauts from American soil to the space station. SpaceX has a launch soon. Smaller companies like Rocket Lab have recently opened the launch pad in Wallops Island, Virginia for launches in 2020 to allow companies to send satellites to Earth's orbit. These are all things not possible just 5 to 10 years ago. So the next few years and the next decade look very exciting for the space industry. So keep looking up.